Good evening, everyone. Welcome to October's NSO's monthly meeting on advancing your referee career. Looking forward to providing you some information tonight, and we've got some great guests to provide you with information as well as their personal experience as they advance their refereeing career. So, to get us started tonight, I thought I would kind of go over the different referee grades that most of us here in Washington are familiar with. You have the referee, which is probably what most of us are here on our call this evening. 88% of Washington state referees are at the grade of referee. You then can upgrade to an advanced referee after at least being a referee for 1 year. And to be a referee, you have to be 13 years of age, complete the new referee online clinic, attend an in-field session, and then you generally will be officiating youth games as a grade referee. Referee advance, about 9% of Washington state referees are a referee advance. Really, the purpose of referee advance is to better prepare referees for the adult game. I also think that this training is great for preparing referees for our high school aged games as well. As I said before, you have to be a referee for at least a year. You have to be 16 years old. The registration actually doesn't get processed to be referee advanced, I think, with USSF until you're 18, but we do recognize the referee advance within Washington at the age of 16. Here again, you've got to do some online clinics and then attend a Zoom meeting that is done as a group. Anybody have any questions in regards to the referee advanced? Okay, I'm going to move us on to regional referee. This is what I was able to find on the SRC website. You do have to be at least 18 years old to become a regional referee. You also need to have been, I think, a referee advance for at least 1 year, which is a Washington requirement. And you have to have had the referee license for the previous 3 years. So you have to be a referee for at least 3 years, be a referee advance for at least one of those 3 years, and then you have the registration requirements in regards to upgrading to regional referee. With that, you do have to have your safe sport training completed, since you have to be 18. They do have an online training, which is the national test, as well as some additional online modules. This is where you do need to complete the fitness test. In the past, that fitness test has been the FIFA Women's Referee Test. I hear rumors that we'll be moving to a new fitness test for 2026, but I wasn't able to find any details on that this evening. I don't know if anybody has any information in regards to the new fitness test or not. Okay, well, we'll all learn it together then. In regards to once you've passed the fitness test, you do need to pass the 2 adult amateur level and at least one U19 or older assessments. Or you can also do 3 adult matches for assessments. You don't have to do a youth one if you don't want to. I did skip over the game requirement, the game count requirement, which at this time is 25 games as a referee and 15 games as a assistant referee on adult amateur level games. That 25 game count does not require it to be a three-person crew. So those Federal Way games, the Federal Way men's games, do count for your 25 game count. But with the assistant referees, of course, you're going to have to be doing adult games with three-person crews.
Hey, Richard, there's a
Yeah.
question in the chat for the advanced referee. Does the previous year of experience have to be the immediate prior year? I.e., does taking a few years off and just recertifying restart the clock?
I think that if you were a referee for a year, took a few years off, came back, you probably could register. If it's been within the last 3 years, you probably could register and do the referee advanced clinic. There is contact information on the SRC website that if you try to register for it and it doesn't let you, I would reach out to that contact information. And or Jim Kritzberg is a good resource to reach out to on that as well.
Yes, and Ray says keep track of your game count. So whether when you referee advanced, just hold on to all your adult games you're on, for sure.
And then in regards to recertification requirements for regional referee, they are all the same that we just discussed, except for you only need to do 2 evaluations to be able to recertify instead of the 3 that it takes to upgrade. Anybody have any questions or comments in regards to regional referee? And then the next step would become a national referee, and that has additional requirements in regards to number of games officiated at a certain level, and again, having to pass referee evaluations on certain matches by a national coach as opposed to a referee coach, which Ray Moffat has joined us this evening, and he is one of our national coaches here in Washington that our local referees used in regards to getting those assessments done as they apply to become national referees. So that's kind of the next step that I did not put the requirements on here for. But for those that are interested, I can definitely get you that information based off of what USSF sends out. USSF, the last couple of years, has done a very nice job of communicating with all regional referees in regards to the application process to become a national referee. Okay, so why do I care about those grades and advancing my career? And I know for some people, being able to self-assign to games is one of those motivators that may help you find that next step in your referee career. So you don't have to request games from your assigners. You'll be able to just self-assign to them. So what's kind of the philosophy around NSO's rankings for self-assign? So what we would say is generally any referee that's under the age of 18 are able to self-assign to games that the players are the same age and younger. And then they are able to center games in which the players are 4 years and younger. We do narrow that to being that the players being 2 years or younger based on additional training, mentoring, etc., of us seeing that referee demonstrates the ability, has the professionalism to be able to manage that closer age. As assigners, we are required to follow these guidelines in regards to putting youth referees as ARs on games that they're the same age as the players or younger, and to only put referees on games in which they are 2 years older than the participants as a center referee. So that's kind of the philosophy around the self-assigned rankings at the youth level. Now, I'm sure many of you have noticed if you're a youth referee that even though you're 16 years old and you have a U16 ECNL game, you can't self-assign to that U16 ECNL game. And that is because assigners do put higher level matches at a higher ranking than what I just outlined in order to get good, qualified, experienced, knowledgeable referees on those matches, because our soccer clubs do expect that. But again, that's where I always encourage refs that if you think if you're 16 and you want to do an ECNL U16 game, put that request in for it. Because if nobody that has a ability to self-assign to it, you may get that opportunity to show your abilities and be put on that match. In regards to adults who are referees, they generally can self-assign to ARs at U18 and below, and generally can center. We start new adult referees off at U14, and that does get increased to U16 as they get trained, mentored, and or gain experience. Also, as they gain that experience, and have interest in doing adult games, we do give self-assignability to the federal weight men's 50 plus. Craig, I'll ask you, I know you also have adult games out at Starfire. What generally do you allow? When do you allow adult referees to start to be able to self-assign to those Starfire games?
So generally, like you said, we're looking for at least 17 or 18 years old, and especially if they've already gone through the advanced training. And then if generally we see them participating in the monthly trainings, then we kind of know that they're hearing those messages of game management, and can handle the adult level game or the introductions to the adult level game.
Um, I will pause. Any questions in the chat or any other questions that anyone has on these first two kind of NSO ranking philosophies?
Nothing in the chat at the moment.
Hi,
Perfect.
Richard.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd have one question about the adult games. I noticed that on the website, when you're looking at the games, it recommends getting a separate insurance. Could you have someone speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. So we have a couple leagues that so Men's Federal Way Parks is USSF affiliated, and so you are covered under your USSF registration and insurance that we get through USSF. Starfire leagues that Craig assigns are not affiliated. And so your insurance through USSF does not cover you on those games. And so that's where we recommend referees get some type of insurance, which I would tell you go get NASO insurance. And there's a couple ways that you can get NASO insurance. Anybody who is registered to do high school games and middle school games automatically gets NASO insurance by being a high school official, or you actually can just reach out to NASO, that being N as in Nancy, A as in Apple, S as in Sam, and O as in off. You can get your own insurance policy through NASO. And then that way, if anything happens on that game that has that message on it, you will be covered by that insurance. And then sometimes on NSO, you'll see in the summer, we do get some adult tournaments that are not affiliated, that we do sign for. And again, we put in those notes that you should make sure you have some type of insurance. Does that help, Matthew?
Yeah, it does. Thank you, Richard.
Yeah. Okay, so then that next step of advanced referee, you generally can then AR U19 games and younger, and center U17 and younger, and then be able to do the men's 40 plus. The next one is advanced referee with a past fitness test. Generally, you can AR U20, center U18, and also get CPL centers. We have so few CPL centers compared to what referees are needing in order to be able to get game count and or assessments that that fitness test is really going to help you in being able to get the CPL centers. And then finally, our regional referees generally can AR U24, center U24, and get those CPL centers for games. In regards to how this kind of equates to high school, I kind of forgot to put that piece on there for NSO. If you're a referee and you're an adult, you usually can self-assign to 1A centers. If you're advanced referee, then it's 2A centers. And if you're advanced with a fitness test, it's 3A centers, and regional referees are the ones that can self-assign to 4A centers. And of course, if we don't have enough of the individuals that can self-assign to those games, we then do look at others to be able to get those games covered. Anybody who is under the age of 18 is able to be able to self-assign to our C team and freshman teams and to any of the middle schools, just as all adults are as well. Any questions on advanced referee with fitness tests, regional referee, and or high school rankings?
I have a question about the high school, which you just went over, with respect to having a certain grade and being able to self-assign a certain age group. What happens if, for example, there's probably a couple 3A leagues that are just as tough, if not tougher than 4A? What I'm saying is that why have that be the line of demarcation when, if I have like the two worst teams in the league and, we know who they are, why would there be a restriction on self-assigning a lack of a better term, a low-level 4A game when you have the two number 1 ranked, number 2 ranked 3A teams or even 2A teams at a high level, and you know which schools they are? Is there some type of wiggle room for that? Because just by doing it by classification is an injustice to the kids who are playing.
Yeah, the hard part is that the rankings we really can only do on those 4A, 3A, 2A pieces, and that's where we blur those. It doesn't allow for self-assign, but that's where Ryan and I would assign, a referee advance to a 3A game that you have the two bottom schools in the bracket playing each other, because we know that that's going to be a manageable game probably for that person. But that's also where we can start to give people those opportunities if they're a referee advanced and we've got a 3A game that we think is doable for that person, and we know they're on that path to get their fitness test, we usually give them that opportunity. It's just it's kind of the technology limitations on the self-assigning within Arbiter.
Okay.
I think Justin had his hand up.
I'm curious, does Arbiter give you the ability to set self-assigned criteria off of the priority, the match priority?
There probably are all kinds of options within Arbiter that if someone spent a lot of time figuring out would know how it would work for the next couple months until Arbiter does an upgrade and wipes out everything that you've already set up. And so we've kind of kept it pretty simple based on the amount of games and the changes that we continue to experience what the arbiter does to our group, that this has been able to provide the most predictable way for referees to know what they can and can't get. Okay, any other questions on rankings? Okay, perfect. Then I want to hand this over to our guests. And tonight we're going to start with Kyle Greenwood. I don't know why you still have acting SYRA on the website, but that's how I put it on here so that I made sure I followed what was on the SRC website. But Kyle is a great addition to the SRC. It was my privilege to be able to take him to regional events when I was SYRA. Kyle, you've been regional referee for how long now?
3 years.
3 years. Yep. Perfect. So with that, Kyle, I'll let you take it away and present information in regards to the Washington State Cup process and the path to regionals.
So thank you so much. What an absolute honor and privilege is to speak in front of all you guys, as the currently the copy paste would indeed be the acting SRA, but I'm sure that acting will disappear quite shortly. But I just want to enjoy the time that we all have together by also inviting you to extend it to the next level, the next step in this journey. A lot of us on this call have actually been to state cups, have mentored, have made a lot of our lasting memories as officials. And I just want to extend that invitation to all of you. You've probably seen a lot of emails from me of encouraging you to basically get invited and directly invite yourself to these cups. And then what I do is I work together with a lot of people on this call, a lot of assigners like Richard and Ryan and Craig, to kind of see which ones you guys are going to be the best fit for. I mean, this is a journey, as we all know. A lot of us start off maybe just like, for myself, it was just me and my dad. We wanted to cover some more games. For some people, it's you're trying to cover your kid's game. For others, it's the challenge. It's my playing career has ended and now I'm moving on to this another role that I want to play in order to give back to the game. So I have the privilege, like I said, of kind of conducting the state cups or the state finals. So you're going to be handling here on NSO a lot of the games that are going to be the pool play, the group play, the quarterfinals. And then they're going to end up going to Starfire, where they're going to do the semifinals and the finals. So Richard, if you can go on to that next slide, because there's a nice little visual graphic that we have here. And it is, just kind of, it's a road. It's a roadmap. So not all of us want to end this roadmap at becoming pro officials. And I'm very aware of my own personal limitations, knowing that I'm a father and, I'm not 25 years old. So what I've done is I've created this roadmap to where, we can intersect, we can come in at different times, we can, hit an off ramp at different places. But these are the goals that sometimes keep people coming back for more and maybe getting invested in order to reach that next level. So at the bottom of this, you're going to see kind of the matches, a lot of them you're covering right now, right? You got local rec matches, you got your select matches, your RCLs, your WPLs, you got your ECNL games. And then there are these cups that you can apply to, and you're going to gain more. So then that way, when you come back to your local games, when you're covering games on NSO, you're going to be a better official as a result. So some of the easier cups that we have, and I say easier in regards to, they're not a walk in the park. I mean, some of my most exciting games are the U8s, when you've got 300 fans across the entire sideline, the touchline, right? And you've got the grandmas, the grandpas, the aunts, the uncles, all the extended family. And, that's a real challenge. You're definitely going to see what you're made of. And we have mentors on every single game, or at least being able to have the opportunities to where you guys are going to be making those connections, making those relationships to propel you to either higher heights, or it's going to allow you to take those learnings into your next matches. So the ones, if you've never been to a state cup before, the ones that I would encourage you to apply for would be the Rec Cup, which is coming up in this December. There's what's called the U8s tournament. So it's the U8 finals and semifinals. We call it the Littles. It'll be the other one with U9 through U11. If you haven't done any of the cups before, those are the ones to aim for. There's a whole different culture and community that's built a little differently at these state cups than, say, just covering your local games. So if you do a really good job there, if you really get quite a little hankering, I want something a little bit more, or your mentors are saying, wow, you're doing a really good job. I think you're ready for that next challenge. Then I would encourage you to look for the youngers, for the U12 to U14s in the spring there, or the Founders Cup, which is in early February, which is probably the biggest state cup that we have. And the Founders Cup and those U12, U14s, you're going to notice it is a step higher. Those teams are a little bit better. There's a little bit more at stake for them when they're coming to a little bit more stress, a little bit more excitement for the challenge that you're going to have to face. Now, those referees that have done an incredible job at the Founders Cup and the Youngers and have really set themselves as, hey, I'm ready for the next step, I'm ready for that next final challenge here for our state cups. That's where we have the high school girls in the spring and the high school boys at the end of winter. Those are the premier cups that Washington State puts on. A lot of officials that you see that are working those higher level CPL games, UPSL, college, the 4A high school games, those are the referees that are going to those high school girl and high school boys cups, or they're really challenging themselves to really try to be the best referee that they can. And then they create a really good product on the field because the players can sense that, wow, this is a real person of quality that's leading us in this game. And I know that they're going to take care of me and make sure that I stay safe. And I'm focused on just doing my absolute best. So referees that are basically trying to go through the state cup system, you're starting at those lower matches, you're starting at the rec cup, you're starting at the U8s, and you're working your way up towards the high school girls and high school boys, which are a big challenge. I mean, the best referees in our state, those are the goals that they have set for themselves, is to try to get to those final cups for Washington State. And then the best of the best that we have in our state at this point in time that are doing the high school boys and high school girls, they're the ones that are going to go on to this next step, which are what we call regionals and then nationals. So regionals is kind of like there's a President's Cup regional. There's also some different regionals that used to happen that have now been kind of changed. And we've kind of been pivoting and figuring out with USYS on where exactly we need to pivot those regionals to. But the President's Cup regionals are some of our best officials. And then the best of those ones, they're going to go on what we call our national events, meaning that there's one that's going to be happening in Utah in June, July. And then there'll be another one in Tennessee for the boys in also June, July. And those national events, those are going to be like the finals of the entire country. So the best of the best officials, like I've said, those are the ones that everyone's striving for. Those are the events that people want to pursue and work their way towards as like a life goal, or maybe as a refereeing goal in order to achieve. Now, at the end of this road, right, going to nationals, going to regionals, for some people, that's enough. And they're ready to go on the off ramp and just kind of stay in their merry way. But there's opportunities that are still at your disposal here locally in our state. So if, for example, you're not going to become an MLS referee, we still have some really competitive adult semi-pro leagues. We have USLW, we have USL2, we have UPSL, we've got CPL. A lot of good opportunities in our state to really challenge yourself that these cups are all helping to prepare you to do a good job at. And then there's also the college route. You've got the NWAC, you've got WIA, you've got the D1, the D2, all of these opportunities. These a lot of times start with these state cups. This is how you're getting identified. This is how you're getting invested in. This is where you're going to get the education in order to be your best self. And then those referees that are really above and beyond and chosen, and it's very few, they do eventually become national referees that then get into that USL championship, and hopefully maybe some of them an MLS game or two, or some of us in the state, they're going to get hundreds of games, which is such an honor to get to watch on TV. So I just want to encourage you guys, this is your opportunity to get invested in, to get education, to get mentoring. And I'm just here to, prepare you to achieve your goals that you have locally. And I'm also here to come alongside you in order to prepare you to be your best possible self. And just know that, Richard and I and Craig and Ray, we're all here, and Jeremy, we're all here to help you. We're all here to support you. All you have to do is reach out and let us know how we can do so.
Kyle, I really appreciate this picture because as you kind of laid this out, this kind of reminds me, because I know college games are nice games to go officiate. They're competitive, they're spicy, and they pay pretty good. And your best path to getting to that, I think used to be, you just did high school games, did a lot of them, do them for a while, and then hopefully get invited to go to do college games. And really, I think in the last 5-10 years, that's changed. That really the referees that go to regionals is really what's feeding our college referee pool now. So that's really another big benefit of participating in the state cup events to get you to regionals, and then that opportunity for college games.
It's huge. And I think you're so spot on with that, because it can be daunting, to reach out of your comfort zone and try something new, and also at the same time to make yourself known again. I mean, if you're well known on NSO and you're doing a lot of really high level games, sometimes it's also kind of challenging to have to restart in a whole new group of demographic. I know, Richard, you had to deal with that, where you had people going, "Hey, I'm doing the highest U19 games I have in my area." We go, "Well, have you seen Mason and Morgan? They're pretty good," And so kind of rubbing shoulders with those next level officials can be really eye-opening for a lot of people.
Great. Well, let's do our introductions then for our next two panelists. Mason Hall and Morgan Storrs, both referees that have done a lot of games for NSO over the years, officiate at the high school level with us. So I'm going to have both of you introduce yourselves. Here's kind of the information I would like you to cover. And then Kyle, as we go through some of these other questions, you kind of being the one that administers some of these processes, I'd love for you to provide tips and tricks to help our referees be successful in the journey, whatever journey they want to take. So Mason, you want to start off for us?
Yeah, I'll go first. So my name is Mason Hull. I'm a referee for about 4 years now. Currently I'm a grassroots advanced, almost regional. Just have one more requirement, which is the fitness test, coming up shortly here. I've done state cups for, I think, 3 years now. I started in 2022, and I got an email back when Richard was the SYRA, and that was for Rec Cup. And what Kyle showed in his graphic, that's the first event that usually you would do, starting out on doing state cup. And then for regionals, I've been doing it for 3 years now. Started in Boise in 23, and then ended this year, unfortunately, no more regionals, but we'll see what is next. And then for national championships, I've gone to President's Cup nationals in 23, and then this past year in Orlando, in 2025. And my first P Cup one actually was Ray was I think he was a coach there, so it was nice having him around and using him for some help. And like outside of USYS, I do like MLS Next stuff, events. That there's one coming up next month that I'm looking forward to. That one would be like about a week, or not a week, sorry, a month long tournament. It's good for networking stuff. You get a lot of pro coaches and national coaches there, similar to the national events that USYS hosts. So yeah.
Mason. Okay, Morgan, give us a little information about your experience.
Okay, I'm Morgan, and I've been reffing for 6 years. I'm also referee advanced at the moment. I think I've been to 3 years of state cup events, possibly 4, I can't remember. And I went to Salt Lake City, Utah last year for President's Cup regionals. And then I got an invitation to nationals, President's Cup nationals, for this year. It's been kind of all over the place the last couple of years. So I went to Tampa, Florida this year for President's Cup nationals, and I've done a few other ECNL events as well. I think I'm planning on doing a travel one at the beginning of next year.
Morgan, you brought up a great point there. There are different national ECNL events that occur that you may get to travel for. But here in Washington, we have the luxury of one usually always being put on in June out at 60 acres. And so that's a great opportunity where us local referees can be able to participate in that type of national event, regional/national event, depending upon what tournament ECNL brings here, and get that exposure of the other national coaches, pro coaches, etc., without having to travel far and have those extra expenses to have to pay for to travel. Okay, so we've kind of got to know our panelist. I think now if we could just kind of go through this, and Morgan, I'm going to make you go first, talk a little bit about these questions and your experience with state cups specifically. And then I did throw kind of the dates, the schedule of those events that occur. Like Mason said, the first one that most people start off with is going to be that Rec Cup coming up in December. So Morgan, talk a little bit about your experiences with State Cup.
I honestly, it's been a long time, but I think I got invited by just getting an email to Rec Cup. And then I did Founders Cup also that first year too. The second and third year, I think second and third year I did Rec Cup, Founders Cup, and then Girls High School. And then this last previous year, I was invited to Boys High School as well. So kind of like a tier system, like they said, like a roadmap. You start out slow, usually do Rec Cup, Founders Cup, things like that, and then slowly progress. Age requirements, isn't it 16 for Rec Cup, Founders Cup? Kyle?
I can speak to that. No, what's really a joy is we do follow kind of the same model that NSO has, where we just need you older than the kids that you're reffing. I think that's always we want them to look up to you, not to look sideways at you. But no, if you are feeling ready and being a 13-year-old, you're just starting off your career, so maybe having a little bit of experience under your belt's a little tough. But if Richard and Ray and Craig and all them are finding, and Jeremy are finding you guys are ready, and Morgan sees you out in the field, and she's like, Kyle, this guy, this lady, this girl's great. Oh my goodness, they need to come. We'll definitely open it up to them. The caveat though is there is only hotels for people that are 18 for safety reasons.
Okay. Experience requirements, I think they covered that a little bit. See you out on the field. Mentors definitely do that. I go to Kyle a few times and I'm like, this person is great. They're killing it out there. So you do get recognized even though you don't know somebody's watching. So I guess keep that in mind. You do get paid. I think there's a tier system for the age group that you get paid, correct? Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
You find
just making sure.
You find, Morgan, that you're making about $1,000 a weekend, or was it probably a little less than that?
Yeah. It depends.
So I guess my question, where's the value for you? What kept you coming back for more?
Definitely the people. I feel like it's hard to start out because you don't necessarily know everybody and you kind of have to find your group per se. But I know Kyle's definitely been working on getting some events going and getting some talking points going and getting people to know people. And I think that's been helpful. So definitely been trying to help Kyle out with that. Get people involved. And I think that's what's made me come back. I've met a lot of people, met a lot of friends. So I think that's what makes it worth it for sure.
Mason, what else would you have to add from your experiences with State Cup?
I like what Ray said is that someone's always watching and you never know who's watching. Someone like Sandy Hunt or even Ray himself or anyone really that is watching could help you land that next big game that you've been wanting. I know Ray knows a lot, like literally everyone that you need to know to move up in the ladder. And then also kind of what Morgan was saying was that you meet a lot of new people and a lot of good friends at these state cups. I mean, you're there for 3 days, basically the whole day. just refereeing, and then knowing a lot of people that have the same passion as you, and you just like to enjoy spending time with them.
Okay, we'll move into that next step that referees take, which is the regional championship events, being our Far West Regionals and then President's Cup. Mason, I'll let you go first this time in regards to kind of your experience with that.
Yeah, so I got started 2023, right when I turned 18, because for regionals you have to be at least 18. There's a caveat with having a parent, but in my case, I was just 18 at the time. I went to Peak Up for 1 year. That was my first year, and then I went to Far West for the last 2 years, in 24 and 25. And the payment, you get stipend from the state for your flight and your food. Hotels covered by the state or whoever pays for that stuff, and then you don't get match fees. You just get that stipend, and then sometimes U.S. Soccer will provide a couple more stipends for you for food or whatever expenses. I think, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Morgan, anything
Can
you
can I chime in here when it comes to
Yeah.
that kind of stuff? I know that the state will always drop you a nickel, like as Mason talked about, helping with your flight and stuff like that. But most of you referees here come from a club before you reach out to NSO. You started at a more regional area within the region. And so I'm gonna tell you my trick back in the day. Whenever I traveled, I always reached out to my home club, whether it's Pierce County, whether it's NSO, and I'm sure NSO could give you $5, give you an extra $5 for the trip. But for some of you who are on the call and you share this with your fellow referees, if you are refereeing, like for example, I started out with South Tacoma, and then there were other organizations. Say for example, I know there's Tacoma Soccer League, youth soccer. There's probably the Federal Way or what the Greater Renton. I forget all the names of the different associations. Don't be afraid to reach out from the association that you represent, and you write a little nice letter. Now you can drop it in an email to someone and say, hey, when I travel, like when I travel right now, and I'm getting ready to go to North Carolina. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm refereeing socks because I still had a pack of socks when I first started coaching way back in the late 90s. I ref with South Tacoma Soccer Club socks on to this day. And therefore, I would reach out to the South Tacoma Soccer Club. Can you give me a nickel because I still represent you? So don't be afraid to ask for a little extra coin from whomever, and they'll be happy to give you a nickel, because when you step outside the state, when you step outside of your hometown, you're representing the people that you started with, and they'll be more than happy to assist you along the way. So never forget that.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, Ray, because NSO does have a sponsorship policy that we do provide stipends to referees that do travel for regional events. And anybody who's doing that, please reach out to me and we'll get that put together for you. I think Morgan, I was asking, what else did you want to add to your regional championship experience?
I got invited the first year by Richard when he was still SYRA. I was unable to attend. That was 2023 as well. But then I went to, like I said, Salt Lake City the next year. You don't, like Mason said, you don't get paid per se, but when it obviously depends where it's at, regionals, you can drive or fly. But when it was in Utah, we all flew, and with what we got from the stipends, everything was covered. So I think we got 2 meals a day, lunch and breakfast usually, or something like that, or a dinner or something. But for nationals, we got food stipends. because we only had one meal a day usually covered. So everything broke even in the end, and it usually does. So just don't let that deter you from doing something like that. If you're willing to, like Ray said, put in the effort and reach out to NSO, reach out to other people, it will be worth it.
Hey, I'm going to move us into, that was the national events. I guess the next piece I wanted to move into was was that the no, now we do national events. I'm sorry, we didn't hit this one yet. So you guys talked about regionals and the SRC providing stipends, and Morgan then kind of switched us into the national events. So can you talk a little bit about the national events, because they differ in that the state really isn't supporting you from that stipend component. How does that national event support you in regards to cost?
So I bet it's a little bit different every year, but for this year, it was super easy. You get invited. They ask you where you live, where airport's close to you. They book your flight. They essentially say, get on this plane and fly to this location so you can ref. It's not hard at all. We had our hotel booked, everything. They give us an itinerary, what's going to happen hour by hour, essentially. And yeah, you just show up. It sounds less complicated than it actually is, but that's kind of how it felt. Yeah, your flight is covered, your hotel's covered, most of your food is covered. Yeah, I think I talked about it earlier, but I went to President's Cup this year. Anything else I need to say, Richard? I can't think of anything else.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
I'll give you another tip right here. When you get selected to an event like that, lots of times, as Morgan said, they will call you. They're going to buy the plane ticket, but don't be afraid. As soon as you get your email, you map out how you want to fly, because otherwise they'll put you on the cheapest flight. You're going to take 85 different stops, and then you might miss the first meeting. So say, for example, because I'm on the website right now for national championships and things like that, and they're where they're going to be at. The national championships for boys will be in Salt Lake City, and the girls will be in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So therefore, if you even have a thought if you want to do that, okay, we know it's a direct flight from Seattle to Salt Lake. That's simple. Now, Murfreesboro and Smyrna, Tennessee, I think that's probably close to Nashville. Okay, you see what I'm getting at? Do your research today. Don't do it tomorrow. Don't let no one call you, say they want to send you a stop in like Philadelphia to come, from Seattle to Philadelphia back to Tennessee. No. You want to go from Seattle to Chicago to Tennessee. You see what I'm getting at? So you can dictate your own narrative. So be smart about it. And those are the tips that I would give you in terms of don't be afraid to, if this is what your goal is, don't have a goal and figure things out on the way. Think about it from the end, working your way back. You know the dates, July 13th to the 23rd. So you need to fly on the 12th and come back on the 24th. Do your research today. So when you get selected, you already know what you want, and and don't be afraid to share that information with whomever is calling you on the phone.
Mason, any additional information that you want to share in regards to your national championship experience?
I say honestly, it's probably one of my favorite times of the year. I know having regionals gone, that kind of sucks, but regionals and nationals definitely my favorite times of the year. I mean, again, you meet a lot of different people from all around the nation, and then again with the networking, the one in Orlando this past year, I mean, they had, I think, 30 or 40 national coaches and some guys from CONCACAF there. So again, it's just another opportunity to be looked at by the right people. Yeah.
Okay. I think this is one of my last slides, and this is kind of, in this path, I think in the past, it kind of was this straightforward path of You do your state cups, you go to regionals, and then you go to nationals, and you have aspiration to become a national referee. That would be the next step. I think that in the last 5 or so years, we've seen that that's not going to completely get you to becoming a national referee, and there's these other avenues that can assist you if that is your aspirations. And I think the best way to think about it is just like you doing games here in Washington and wanting to advance as a referee, you're getting out there and doing games for different assigners so different people can see you, hoping that one of them that you're doing work for will help you in your referee path. And I think that's what this opportunity provides you by going and doing these other regional national events like E64, ECNL, Surf Cup, Dallas Cup, MLS Next. And I bet you I forgot a few, haven't I, Ray? Or is there some more? And if these may not all be the right ones for this year anymore.
I think you got them all. I think you can probably sprinkle in what is that? It's Girls Academy. There's certain things that you would get invited to. It's like you don't reach out to them, they will reach out to you once you get on people's radar. But I think the key thing is as I'm listening and we talk about climbing the ladder, and I think the one missing note there is your development. And we all aspire to get to the next level. And I think Mason mentioned it, as did Morgan, in terms of taking advantage of these events and picking people's brains. And I say this all the time: if you are really good, they will find you. Everybody wants to climb the ladder, but are you good? And if you're good, and as I said earlier, people are watching you. When you get that funny phone call from that number that you don't recognize, hopefully they'll just leave an email, call me back. Listen to the voicemail, I should say, and call them back. And then those will be those opportunities. And again, he sends you, there's a list right here, and you can see these lists, and on all of these events, you can reach out to the referee assigners and put yourself in that pool. But when you put yourself out there, make sure you're ready. You don't want to go to an event, and believe me, unfortunately, last year at the ECNL event, someone was sent home because they were there about the game count, about how much money they could make, but it wasn't about the quality per game. There is a question there: how many games per day do you do? Well, guess what? This isn't the Kent Cornucopia Cup or the Surf Cup at Starfire, where you'll go there and do 15 games over the weekend so you can make a whole bunch of money. No, this is what this is about. This is about 1 or 2 games in a day. Can you put your best quality out there? Quality over quantity. And so if this is on your radar, start reaching out to people now. You see Mason, you see Morgan, myself, all the people on this call. Start talking to people, start asking questions so you can become a better referee. So these opportunities will come to you, and you don't have to go chasing the opportunities. The opportunities will chase you.
Okay. Some words of advice. I think, Kyle, you kind of talked about this, about what to expect based on your age and experience, and what grade do you have to be in regards to state cups. Anything you want to elaborate further there, Kyle?
No, because I think we hit it on the head really well. I would say the only thing that was definitely missing in the beginning, that Ray, you're absolutely right, is the amount of investment that you either seek out that we can invest in you, or the amount that you're wanting to invest in yourself when it comes to education and getting better. I think that's the key. Is all of us can go and cover games and just be a nice warm body on a field, but doing a good job to where people notice and people recognize all that hard work that you're putting in for yourself and for the kids and for the adults and the families, that's what's going to translate for sure. And so getting that next advanced, getting to regional, like those kinds of, I want to get better, I want to learn more, that's what's going to carry you definitely on and on and on.
So there is Kyle Greenwood's email address. So in case you have somehow not gotten his email in regards to filling out the information to do state cups this year, please reach out to him. I'm sure he's still looking for referees for all those state cup events. And then Craig Allen does the assigning for all the state cups for the Washington Premier League. And we actually assign those off of the NSO website. Doesn't have the same structure as the Washington Youth Soccer State Cups, but definitely Craig does a great job. He has a lot more games because WPL plays their state cups with group play as part of their state cup weekends, and so there's just a lot more games. But I know Craig's been doing a great job of getting mentors out there on a lot of the final games, and so you can get that good feedback. With that, I will open it up with any questions. I know we kind of went through all that material of the Mason's and Morgan's experiences, and just want to give everyone an opportunity to ask any questions they may have.
Hey, we have a question in the chat. How can you see your referee grade on the NSO website so you get a sense of where you're at?
You actually can see your grade on the SRC website underneath your member info page, and then that gets translated to numbers on the NSO website, which I think I don't even want to guess because they no longer make numerical sense like they used to. So it's best to look on the member info page on the SRC website. And if somebody has a particular question on that, don't hesitate to email me and I can tell you what it is for you. No other questions? So I know we always try to leave a little bit of time for anybody's questions in regards to games, etc. I'll give it a second to see if anybody has any questions they want to ask tonight. Okay, then while we wrap the call up, I'm going to put in the chat our exit survey, which I'd appreciate everyone taking a moment to fill out. This does help inform us on what topics to have on our monthly meetings. I do want to, we did have a incident of a racial issue that occurred on one of our high school games that was directed at the referees. And I really hadn't thought about that as happening on our games, and unfortunately it did. So I want to make sure that we recognize that the discrimination and harassment process should be followed, whether it is against a player or coaches and or officials. And so if officials were to be felt like they were being discriminated against or harassed, we should follow that protocol and get it addressed, and so that way it does not perpetuate in our game. And I think with that, if no other questions or comments, Kyle, Morgan, and Mason, I appreciate you jumping on and being our guest panelist. Ray, thanks for joining us. I always appreciate it when you're able to come out and provide your perspective. For those of you that are looking at trying to advance your referee career, Ray puts a lot of time and energy in helping Washington referees maneuver that landscape. So don't hesitate to reach out with him. To him, I know he's always willing to help for those that want to advance. With that, we will close out our October meeting, everyone. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
Thank you.